Okay, now we're going to look at some patterns that work on changing strings or alternate picking over two different strings. The first examples really dealt with playing just like one string at a time, which is good because it develops the form and the technique in the right hand that you need to play fast. And it's the quickest way to get that form down. So before we even start going over two string patterns, there's two ways that you basically can change between one string to the other. If I were to look at the example up there, it says outside picking. So the little arrow is an upstroke. The little tabletop symbol is a downstroke. So what's going on here is if I upstroke the high E and then downstroke the B, notice the pattern of the motion moves outside the string. It's called outside picking. And for most people, it tends to be an easier way to do it. Now, if you go the other direction, so if you go downstroke on the E, then upstroke on the B, it's called inside picking. It's a little harder, I think. So what you want to do is you want to get the metronome out, and whatever tempo that you're working on, or whatever strings that you're using, you want to practice outside and inside picking on those examples, kind of in between, kind of like in the first part where we just went crazy and just played as fast as we possibly could, and then went back to the tempo after the mechanic kind of smoothed out. So let's look at this first example. This Locrian hexascale. So what this basically means is just using the first six notes of Locrian mode. So the first six notes. So you have this pattern. It's like first finger, second finger, fourth finger, first finger, second finger, fourth finger. And this example, slowly. You just speed it up. Back down. So it's one thing to play really fast. It's the other thing to be able to control the speed, because that's the real trick to playing fast, is getting it exactly out of your head into your fingers what it needs to be. So that's why starting slow and kind of crescendoing the tempo in a way can be really good for that. Look at the next example. So the next one, instead of first, second, fourth finger, the whole time on the G string, we use the first, third, and fourth. That one feels a little harder because we're having to use all four fingers. I'm going to practice that one slow more. See, just a little more time on the slow practice will really get you up to the speed that you need to be. All right, the next one, that was, by the way, is a Phrygian. Phrygian mode, the first six notes of that. The Aeolian hexascale, or minor. That one's a lot harder because the third finger is a little weaker than your second finger. So you have to really work slow on that one too. Now another way to practice this one is without your fourth finger, is just using a stretch between 1 and 2. Yeah, so you got that. The next one, you got a Dorian. So where that new finger position comes in handy. More messy, slow it down. Yeah, and then what's next? Major. And then the Lydian. Slow down, I'm getting kind of tired. Kind of losing my form, so I'm just gonna pick as fast as I can again and find it. Sure enough, it got a little better. Okay, so one question I always get with this lesson is, where's the Mixolydian? Well, you don't really know what the seventh note is. So you can't tell if it's major or Mixolydian because it's a hexascale. It doesn't have all 7 notes. Okay, so that's a good pattern. Those patterns are really good because you can play them over every string, 2 adjacent strings except the G and the B because of the tuning difference, right? So we got to learn the same ones now between the G and the B string. So there's a Locrian hexascale starting on the G string. Feels a little different, it has a little shift in there, and you have to learn to mitigate those shifts. The Phrygian. Aeolian. Oop. Dorian. And what's next? Major. And let's see. That does it, I think, for those 2 string examples. So whenever you hit a wall, whenever you're like you can't play any faster, start over. Just play as fast as you can on the strings that you're playing on to help reestablish the form. And then try some of that outside picking. Some inside picking. The potential picking speed. And then go back and try one again. Now, if you feel like your right hand is getting it, but your left hand isn't accurate, that's when you just need to play slow. See, it even does wonders for me, just in that. So basically, the lessons are, when you work on the right hand, work a lot just on your potential picking speed, the specific mechanics of the inside and outside picking, and then when you put it together with the left hand, don't be afraid to play it like, 7 or 8 times slow and then like 1 or 2 times fast. You have to have a kind of like a pyramid ratio where you want to play it a lot slow on the bottom and not many times as fast as you can, and a little bit more times almost as fast as you can. All right, so let's look at some 3-string examples. So this is basically having a whole motor scale up to the 9th note. So this one. Now the tricky one to this one is it uses a lot of different, string crossings. So what you want to do at first, what I do is I just like pretend fret the notes. Until I learn the right hand pattern. And just work the right hand pattern. Right, and there's the Locrian, the Phrygian. The Aeolian. Dorian. Major. Oh, no, we got it. Mixolydian now because you're going to the seventh note. Major. And then Lydian. So notice this pattern, these three strings, the lowest three, will also work on the A on the A string. That again is sloppy. Okay. So notice the tuning is the same. It's all forced between those two sets of three strings. So the pattern worked out. But unfortunately, now we got to look at patterns starting on the D string because it's a little different. So it's kind of back where we were. I mean, the higher strings really feel like I took the weight off the bat after playing the low strings, you know. That's another thing to think about. If you practice on the low strings, it tends to get easier when you go up to the higher ones. So Locrian, the Phrygian. Aeolian. It's one of those where you might do the stretch with the beginning. Slow. Then Dorian. It's Mixolydian. Then Lydian, or Major. And then Lydian. So at this point, you want to do the same things, but now you can start on the G string. And go through all those. They're a little tougher because the shifting. Get a little more. Now, that's pretty much fast alternate picking, 80% of it. There's some more advanced alternate picking I want to look at next week that has to do with skipping strings and playing like Steve Moore style arpeggios and stuff like that. But the last thing I'm going to look at is kind of like the last gear. It's this economy picking. What we have here is this economy picking is in triplets. Oh, I can't quite get it. So what's going on here is I'm using the fastest motion from string to string. So the pick pattern is down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, up. Once I get the right hand evened out, it really get it fast. Okay, so there's some basic, really good, those really will carry you far as your technique and alternate picking. And then the last economy picking example is really good because it uses kind of the same forms as we did in the first example of this. So there you go, speed picking in a nutshell.